Picture this. XRP rockets towards $3, then stalls, like a sports car that suddenly finds itself stuck behind a camel on a dusty desert road. What's hiding just behind that slow-moving hump? Well, stick around because today I'm going to be walking you through the wild mood swings behind XRP's latest pump to over $2.60. Why the real party doesn't even start until we smash through $3.84, and how an entire community is holding its collective breath for one glorious, history-making candle. Let's think of this as kind of a front row seat to crypto's most dramatic soap opera, minus the cheesy kind of cliffhanger music, of course. And yes, I'll share the exact psychological kind of, booby traps that I keep tipping over, while waiting for that kind of fabled all-time high. Are you ready? Well, let's hit it. So there I was the other day, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, eyes half open like a raccoon at dawn, and bam, Bitcoin pierces $118,400. And yes, this video is a little bit of a pre-record ahead of time, so maybe prices have moved even further by now. But price aside to 1 second, my feed kind of starts exploding with these green arrows, confetti emojis, and the occasional when Lambo meme. Now I scroll down and there's XRP, kind of gleefully piggybacking on Bitcoin surge, up 8.5% on the day, 18% for the week, and clocking in, at least at the point of recording, at $2.64. In fact, a little higher than that, the highest that we've even seen, in fact, in the last 2 months. You can cue the dopamine rush. The problem is that my inner voice isn't popping champagne. Instead, it kind of whispers, dude, we've danced this dance before. Enter Digital Asset Daily, the community's kind of veteran who's basically the designated driver at every XRP party. Now his take is that save the fireworks until we actually clear $3.84. Now that number, it isn't just any line in the chart. It's actually the Mount Everest of psychological resistance. Limbo underneath it, and nobody's going to send you the invitations. Now, I remember back in January of 2018, when that $3.84 price flashed on my screen like the final boss in a retro arcade game. I fist bumped the kind of air so hard that I almost dislocated a shoulder. 7+ years later, we're somehow still chasing the very same pixelated boss. So it kind of feels a little bit like a Groundhog Day, only Bill Murray is replaced by millions of hopeful bag holders. Now, some folks say that $3.84 was never real, more ghost story than price point. Analyst Jack Riley kind of argues the true 2018 peak was actually $3.31, kind of tops out. Now, Ripple's own CTO allegedly claims no trade ever actually crossed $2.80 back then, blaming the kind of legendary $3.84 on the Korean exchange glitch. Now imagine climbing to the summit, kind of planting your flag, only to realize that you're standing on a hologram. Ouch. Whether glitch or gospel, the $3.84 number has morphed into crypto folklore. Break it and XRP finally shakes off the underperformer label that's kind of clung to it like glitter after that New Year's party. Stay below and we're all just kind of re-watching reruns of a show that never gets renewed. Now you can picture the XRP community right now. It's kind of like a packed stadium before kickoff. Everybody's hyped up, the painted faces, the foam fingers, tensile kind of excitement kind of buzzing through the air, yet the referee refuses to blow the whistle because, well, the star striker still hasn't laced up. And that striker, friends, is the $3.84 candle. No laces, no goal, no victory lap. Now, I've lived through crypto roller coasters that make Space Mountain look like a kiddie ride. But there's something uniquely nerve-wracking about watching your coin flirt with a line that it hasn't crossed in 7 years. Each surge, it feels like an almost proposal. XRP drops to one knee, ring in hand, only to mumble maybe next quarter and stands back up again. It's kind of brutal. But let's go ahead and sprinkle in a stat or two so that Uncle kind of skeptical can't accuse us of empty hopium. Now, as of the point of recording, XRP is sitting 18% up on the week. And mind you, this is after a backdrop of Bitcoin planting its flag above $118,000. Market-wide enthusiasm is real, yet a giant neon arrow still kind of pointing towards $3.84, like, beat me if you can. Now, I can practically hear newer investors shouting, bro, $2.64 is already a big deal. And it's true, it is. But here's the analogy, right? Imagine training all year for a marathon and quitting at mile 24. Sure, you ran far, burned calories, maybe even impressed your aunt, but nobody hands you out a medal for almost crossing the finish line. Mid-scroll on crypto Twitter, you're gonna catch bullish predictions hotter than the UAE sun. Analyst Alex Cobb, he's eyeing $22.54 by New Year's Eve 2025. You've got 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗋 saying, yeah, but why stop there? $24 is on the menu. Then you've got Dustin Layton, may burst through the salon doors calling for $50, while Javier Marks, sets the salon on fire with a $100 end of year target. So it's kind of like a poker table where everyone kind of keeps raising the stakes with increasingly larger stacks of chips. And yes, I'm clutching my cup of coffee, hoping that nobody notices my nervous tremor. But here is where the kind of rubber meets the road. None of those moonshots even activate until we muscle our way through the $3.84. It's the key that unlocks the treasure chest, the golden snitch, if you will, the final infinity stone, right? You can pick your cinematic reference of choice. They all point to one immutable reality. $3.84 is everything. Now, remember that relatable problem that I promise in all of these videos? Well, here it is. Patience. Now, patience is the scarcest asset in crypto, I guess, and I've got the emotional scars to kind of prove it. Now, last week I caught myself refreshing the XRP chart every 6 minutes like a lab rat pressing the dopamine lever. The spoiler is that enlightenment did not follow. All I got was eye stained and kind of mild carpal tunnel. So that's kind of when I decided to join our free educational Discord server. The link is chilling in the description. Seriously, if you're tired of the echo chambers and want level-headed banter, then you should probably hop in. We're swapping charts, we're sharing articles, and occasionally even posting memes that feature Gary Gensler riding a unicorn. It's therapeutic, I promise. Now, you might have also noticed the Kraken Pro banner kind of lurking in this video. Well, here's a quick disclosure. The Kraken Pro link in the description is an affiliate link, so signing up through it will throw a few shiny coins into the channel's tip jar and keeps the lights on, and of course the coffee machine too, running smoothly. Now, think of it as like donating without donating, because you trade, the channel grows, and everybody wins at no extra cost to yourself. And right before we kind of dive any deeper, let me kind of lay down the necessary reality kind of check here. And it might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and the video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, so that's the disclaimer kind of digested. Let's go ahead and charge ahead. And I keep returning to one question. Why does $3.84 feel so mythical? Well, partly because markets, like people, love round stories with clear villains and heroes. Now, in this tale, $3.84 is the dragon. XRP holders are, of course, the knights, and every rally is a sword swipe that kind of chips a scale but doesn't pierce the heart. Now, until it does, the legend kind of lives on. And here's the juicy twist part. right? Some historians claim that dragons never existed. If Jack Riley's no trade above $3.31 data is in fact gospel, then most of us have been kind of jousting thin air. It's kind of like discovering your kind of arch nemesis, was a cardboard cutout the whole time. But perception is reality in markets. Whether the beast was real or misprinted, slaying it publicly is really all that matters. So let me kind of paint you a little kind of mental movie then. Imagine the chart as a mountain, right? We, the hikers, have been kind of trudging uphill for years, backpacks stuffed with white papers and, copium cans. Now at $3.84, the clouds kind of part, the summit sign appears, and the moment that someone plants a flag and tweets the screenshot, game over. Now new kind of, vistas will open, new map coordinates suddenly appear, and that's kind of when price discovery begins, when analysts stop recycling old Fibonacci lines and actually start drawing wild kind of, paraboles the size of Switzerland. But we are not there yet, and every veteran knows crypto doesn't award trophies for almost. So remember, XRP's journey, January 2025, pushed to $3.40. For a hot minute there, people kind of popped the corks, right? Then price fizzled like flat soda, right? The community walked home barefoot, high heels in hand, vowing never to trust the DJ again. Now that sting, it still lingers. So how do we navigate this kind of maddening limbo then? Well, first, you got to celebrate the small wins without losing the bigger picture, right? XRP climbing to $2.64, days ago after weeks of kind of, really lingering around, like spotting, it's kind of like spotting, a distant lighthouse after kind of bobbing at sea maybe for months on end. Now, it kind of means land is potentially ahead. The second, of course, is to temper the moon juice a little bit, right? If you jump straight from, we hit $3, so we're going definitely hit $100 next, then you're going to skip over the critical milestones in between, including your own sanity. Third, hit a plug into the educational hubs. Again, the free Discord, it's in the description, right? Instead of just doom scrolling all the time. So, talking through your hopium highs and the FUD lows with people who get it, is healthier than shouting at your kind of own reflection. Plus, you can pick up nuggets like how Bitcoin's pump often kind of yanks altcoins up by their shoelaces, or how historical resistance zones act like invisible force fields. Let's swing back to the stats, right? As of today, at the point of recording, 8.5% jump didn't happen in a vacuum, right? Bitcoin's rocket ride created gravitational pull across the board. Altcoins surf those tidal waves, but XRP's surfboard is a little special. It comes preloaded with a decade of legal drama, community loyalty, and yes, even skepticism. Now that combo tends to magnify the emotional spikes, and emotions matter, right? I've seen traders treat charts like Tinder profiles, swipe right on anything green and ghost anything red. Spoiler, that's rash swipes get very expensive. 1 minute you're kind of bragging to your mates about your new position, the next minute you're Googling difference between realized and unrealized losses at 2 a.m. eating cereal from the box. While we kind of watch the kind of $3.84 gate, let's not ignore what could happen on the other side. Analysts' numbers, they vary, but they kind of share a very common theme. Once the dam breaks, water will gush. Now, Alex Cobb's $22.54, Da Vinci's $24, those goals sit roughly 9 times above today's price. Dustin Layton's $50, that's a 19x leap. Javier Marks naming $100, you should probably fasten your seatbelt, Dorothy. Now, whether those kind of peaks become reality isn't today's worry. Clearing $3.84 is. Climb ladders one rung at a time and you'll kind of face plant. Now, speaking of ladders, let me kind of confess a bit of a blunder. Earlier this year, I aped into a different altcoin mid-hype, ignoring resistance lines because community vibes felt right. Yeah, those vibes cost me a weekend getaway and a decent steak dinner. The lesson? Well, chart psychology is real. Levels like the $3.84 stick in collective memory, and sellers camp there like paparazzi outside a celebrity wedding. Ignoring them is like trying to kind of sip soup with a fork. You'll end up hungry and confused. Now, people ask, why is $3.84 taking so long if other coins smash all-time highs every cycle? Well, my take is that XRP is unique. Its lawsuit saga and cross-border payments narrative attract long-term believers, but also repel short-term speculators scared of regulatory plot twists. That combination creates thicker walls at key resistances. Breaking them requires not just volume, but also conviction. Wallets willing to hold above the line rather than scalp pennies below it. Meanwhile, the broader market behaves like a moody teenager. Bitcoin's joyride helps, but alt's momentum can vanish faster than socks in the laundromat. Now, if BTC hiccups, XRP's climb could stall again. Doesn't mean that hope is completely lost though. It just means that you need to watch your risk, or in my case, don't mortgage your cat's scratching post. Now, while kind of suspense builds, smart money often accumulates quietly, dollar cost averaging like bees storing honey for the winter. Now you can practically hear them buzzing, of course, so let the impatient ones sell, they say. Now, because once $3.84 of course falls, guess who will be panic buying at $4.20. And yep, that's the very same people who dumped at $2.90 because their barista said something scary about altcoins. So, what is my game plan? It's quite simple. I'm going to set alerts just below $3.80 and another at around $3.85. Now, the first ding kind of reminds me to breathe. The second call is for cautious celebration, I should say, and not yacht shopping, of course. Now, I'm going to keep Kraken Pro handy via the affiliate link down below. Tight spreads, deep liquidity, and yes, clicking it does toss tip my way. Transparency matters, right? Now, I promised you this. Whether $3.84 falls tomorrow or in 6 moons from now, I'll be right here narrating all of the chaos. Coffee stains on my shirt, microphone dangerously close to the meltdown. Until then, of course, I'm going to hone patience muscles and meme skills inside of our free Discord server. Seriously, come and join us. We've reserved a virtual beanbag chair with your name on it. Okay, it's time to wrap up. Today's jump towards kind of $2.64 is pretty great. Bitcoin's blazing past $118,000 is also pretty awesome. But for the long-term surfers, XRP kind of, I guess the story's next chapter is actually just one stubborn number, right? Or at least it begins at one stubborn number, $3.84. If we break it and we enter uncharted territory, we're ripe for new highs. And maybe, just maybe, those $22, the $24, the $50, or even $100 predictions stop sounding like late night infomercials. But until that candle prints, you should keep your emotions buckled in, your research sharp, and your sense of humor sharper. Crypto might move fast, but wisdom kind of grows slow. Kind of like a cactus, spiky, resilient, water it once in a while. Now, you can hit that subscribe if you want a front row kind of commentary, when XRP finally kind of body slams that $3.84 dragon. And you can check out the video that is queued up on your screen for another rabbit hole dive. I'll catch you guys in the Discord.